Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vincent Musumba, in charge of media relations at Afreximbank, and it's my great pleasure to usher you into the final official segment of this very important event that we've had over the last 2 days. Today's panelists are eminent sons and champions of Global Africa agenda, and I would like to call upon them to grace the stage. And they include Honourable Dickon, the Prime Minister of Grenada. Please come to the stage. Followed by His Excellency Professor Benedict Oramah, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Afreximbank. And then he will be followed by Dr. George Elombi, Executive Vice President of Afreximbank and incoming President of Afreximbank. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, in the audience, we have members of the media from Africa, the Caribbean, Grenada, which is basically our host, and other countries. Basically, more than 15 countries are represented here in terms of the media who are participating in this press conference that we are going to have right now. And they have richly contributed to the discussions that we've had over the last 2 days of the AfriCaribbean Trade and Investment Forum. They have diligently worked to amplify the messages that we have come out with, from this forum. And they've sent me a couple of questions, which I'm going to present to you for your responses and for their satisfaction. So we have about 7 questions in total, and I'm going to direct each question to the respective official to respond to. So I'll start with President Oramah. The first question is that we've had very dynamic and passionate discussions, and we've seen deals being signed. However, as you mentioned yesterday during your keynote address, and I quote, "What we have done so far is to prove the concept. We now need to institutionalize it." But the question is, what's your idea of institutionalizing the concept? Over to you, President.
Thank you very much. Let me again thank the Honourable Prime Minister and all the dignitaries here, and as well as the members of the press who have gathered here. Yes, for the past few years, we've worked on a number of initiatives in a number of directions, trying to drive home the concept we developed to prove that Africa, the motherland, can reintegrate with its diaspora in a meaningful, economically viable way. We believe that we've been able to prove it based on the kind of things we've accomplished within a very short period. But going forward, we now need to do many transformative things. We need to take the foundation we've built up so that we have a complete building. That requires that we have a sovereign institution that can take this forward, so that Afreximbank remains main engine driving it from a financial point of view and also from a historical point of view, but doing so with the support of others in a way that crowds in these similar institutions, our government, and others, so that we push towards the same purpose. And that institution is the Global Africa Commission, which we discussed yesterday, and which we are very pleased that the Prime Minister's endorsed. And we hope it will also be endorsed at the AU CARICOM Summit coming up in September. This would then be a proper platform to do many other things, promote the integration of the youth into this movement through the sports championship, even go as far as beginning to talk about opening up discussions for a free trade agreement, helping us to also promote joint activities in the area of the creative industry, in the area of technology, and so on. So the Global Africa Commission, I think, would then be that institution that will alleviate the burden on Afreximbank today, while giving Afreximbank the opportunity to even be more effective in doing what they know how to do most, providing the financing to support the activities that that commission would unleash. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President. And the members of the media have requested for the people who are moving around to try and be still, because that affects the camera quality. So if you could kindly try and keep still. Now, the next question goes to the Honourable Prime Minister. In the context of South-to-South cooperation, what specific outcomes would you like to see emerge from ACTIF 2025 to accelerate AfriCaribbean integration? And what role should Grenada play in this process?
First, let me place on record my own appreciation and the appreciation of the government and people of Grenada to both presidents who are here with me for partnering with Grenada to host this significant event. We truly appreciate the opportunity that has been given to us and the opportunity to share our hospitality with global Africa. I mean, there's a lot that we can talk about, but I think we can first start with the movement of people and the need to ensure that we continue to resource and support the ability of the Caribbean and Africa to get to each other. And we've done so by hosting this event. Many of you who are here because of direct chartered flights. I was in Abuja not too long ago. Again, it was via a direct flight. And as Professor Oramah said, it proves the concept that if we are deliberate and if we are intentional, there is no reason why we can't begin, even if it's baby steps, to begin the process of deliberately traveling between Africa and the Caribbean. It took me exactly 8 hours and 56 minutes to fly from the Morris Bishop International Airport to Abuja. It's about the same time to get to London. And I can tell you the reception in Abuja was a lot warmer and friendlier. So I think ensuring that we continue to, even if it means hosting specific events or tying the travel around cultural events or specific tourism events, it is a start. For example, Barbados is hosting CariFesta in the last week of August. It's an amazing cultural explosion of Caribbean creativity. It's an opportunity for brothers and sisters in Africa to travel specifically for this event and also to be part of it. And so I think for me, even if it's that low-hanging fruit, we have Air Peace operating planes out of Antigua already. So we are beginning to see the seeds being planted. I think that would allow us in the next 3 to 5 years to in fact make significant progress when it comes to our people moving. And I want to give one example of something that I said at lunch today. Africa is the last preserve of the kind of natural, animal, wildlife that exists on the planet. And I can tell you I'm sure every Grenadian, Barbadian, Jamaican child dreams of seeing an elephant or a giraffe. If we don't ensure that we give them that opportunity, first by preserving what is unique about Africa, and second by ensuring that they get the opportunity to travel, we will be lessening the experience as human beings. And so just on that basis alone, when we talk tourism, it is not just the Caribbean tourism or beautiful Grandlands Beach or waterfalls or great hotels, but it's also the type of tourism that makes you as a human being appreciate the significant beauty of Africa and its natural beauty, and getting an opportunity to experience that, which to a large extent the diaspora has been denied of because of the displacement that we faced. So I think that is one issue. And then the second, I would say, is, as President Oramah has said, we have to be very deliberate about institutionalizing and creating institutions that will, in fact, recreate the type of trade, investment, banking, and financial relationships that we want to build for ourselves. The reality is what was created to entrap us. President Obasanjo said it, I think, beautifully. If we don't accept that we have to continuously climb and stand on each other's shoulder to get out of the hole, we will remain in the hole. So I think for me, the second point is making sure that we continue to deliberately, intentionally, for as long as it takes, begin to build the financial, trading, shipping, both air and sea links that we need to create the kind of wealth, the kind of opportunity, and the kind of dignity and pride that global Africans deserve like the rest of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Prime Minister. Indeed, institutionalization. He's talked about people movement, he's talked about tourism, and many other things. I think the next question will be to Dr. George Elombi. And the question is, you've seen the implementation of the bank's diaspora strategy from day one. Now, what are the top two things that Afreximbank and CARICOM should do to keep it moving?
Thank you. I think the Prime Minister just said that the warmth was much better in Abuja than he would have expected if he had taken the 8 hours flight in a slightly westerly direction instead of further south. That warmth was there because on both sides, on the Nigerian side and on the side of his visiting delegation to Nigeria, there was something natural about it. You felt you were meeting the people to whom you belong, and they felt they were receiving those who also belong to them. So the further integration the further action that you expect the next phase of ACTIF to be is, to me, simply a question of more conviction, believing further in who we are, where we want to be, not always seeking to justify why we should be doing it. No one should justify why he has to get closer to his own. So those next steps mean we take certain steps to enhance the integration. That ought to come naturally. And in that integration process, one of those areas which we think we should reinforce is the payment system that we now have. You would see from what happened, what we now call the global crisis caused by the events in the Ukraine, that one of the very first actions that was taken by the Global West against Russia was to cut it off the payment system. So that tells you that it is a very vital element of the trade. Payment itself, finance is the lifeblood of the trade. It is what drives people. So if we get that payment system fully integrated, the payments can happen easily, and we get the African investors to see the Caribbean as an opportunity. Then as they invest more, the drive towards our brother Wamkele here, the drive towards his African free trade area, that includes the Caribbean, will become more natural. It will happen on its own. The governments may not have to do anything again. The people, through their interaction, will drive that integration. And as soon as that integration has happened, on that institutional level, that structural level, then the rest would follow. The governments would have no choice but to recognize that it is there. So we think certain things like that payment system would help. Some other action in the direction in which Professor Oramah has been driving it, not only in terms of the thought, but also the practical steps he's taken to engage with specific, carefully targeted African serious businessmen to begin to engage here. When that is reinforced and they begin the investment, then obviously the integration that you're seeking or that your questioner was asking for would be seen as a very natural thing. It will not be something we have to justify. It will be there because that's just the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, AVP George. More conviction, us believing in ourselves, and of course, like you said, integration of the payment systems. The next question goes to the Prime Minister, and the question is, how do you plan to strengthen Grenada's trade relationships with other African and Caribbean countries, and what benefits do you see in regional trade agreements?
Well, thank you. We've already started. We've been pursuing a deliberate policy of lifting visas for travel between Grenada and many of the African countries. I think you heard it from Aliko yesterday on the presidential panel that really the visa regime was something that post-independence many of us imposed on ourselves foolishly, that has in fact hindered trade, economic growth, development, and the people-to-people movement. I will say so unhesitatingly, certainly between Africa and the Caribbean, I do not see any valid reasons for maintaining the visa system. That's one. Two, even if we try to maintain it, the fact is the technology is moving in the direction of biometrics, which means electronic travel authorization, certainly for security reasons, and I think it allows all of us the opportunity to actually invest already in the future, which is now, and move to a process where you either have visa on arrival if you still need one, or electronic travel authorization. There are countries which have done it. I think Rwanda, for example, in Africa. I don't know that it has had any negative consequences for them. I suspect quite the contrary. It has certainly helped to improve their economic chances. So I think that's one key thing that we need to send the message, that we are not here to prevent our people from moving. Second, I think it's important for us as well to pay attention to the things we need from a government policy point of view to do to encourage investment. I did not hear much conversations about at a government level ensuring that we have the type of treaties that we need to protect investments in each other's space. I have not heard conversations about ensuring we engage in double taxation treaties or information about data sharing or information sharing. So those are some of the things that we need to pursue to ensure that we can say to the private sector that when you invest in the Caribbean or when you invest in African countries, your investment will be protected You'd be free from political risk of arbitrary taking, etc. Those things are important. Many of the Caribbean countries have these treaties with Western countries that have invested, and it's important, I think, for us to make sure that we, from a policy point of view, pursue this as well. And then I think, thirdly, from a CARICOM perspective, not just Grenada perspective, obviously scale matters. And very concrete examples were given as to how, because we have not pursued the scale intra-regionally, we are paying some of the highest prices for almost anything in the world. Our electricity cost is 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt hour. It is some of the highest in the world. It simply will not allow the kind of economic development that we need. It also makes our cost of living some of the highest anywhere in the world. So we need to be able to, at the intra-regional level, ensure that we can scale to allow us to then deploy and to lower the cost of living on some of the fundamental things that we need in terms of inputs for economic development. The cost of energy, fertilizer, the cost of food. Those are critical things for us. The cost of aggregates that we need to build our infrastructure. And we need to bear in mind the vulnerabilities of the Caribbean. We have significant flooding, landslide, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions. And so our infrastructure, particularly our public infrastructure, is always under threat. And so we need to make sure that the inputs associated with this are available and are available in the quantities and at the cost that makes it sustainable. So I think just intra-regionally, there are significant opportunities for us to scale and then to obviously partner with Africa and use Africa's scale to allow us to buy cheaper, to get better terms, and be able to be more sustainable. You can look at Guyana, you can look at Suriname. There are significant opportunities just within those two markets to allow us to scale. So I think those are some of the areas we would certainly want to focus on from a Grenada perspective, but it mirrors what CARICOM needs to do as well.
Thank you very much, Honourable Prime Minister. And conscious of time and, of course, the upcoming program, the last question is actually the last. And I'm saying it's the last because it's a question directed to Professor Oramah. What next after Afreximbank?
It's always, it has been baffling me why people ask this question. When someone retires, what does he do? When he retires, he says he's tired, so he goes home to rest. And so what next is I will travel around the Caribbean and look for a nice place or nice places to call home. And so I can spend some time in Grenada, go to Barbados, go to Bahamas, and that will keep me very, very busy. And make it possible for me to join the Global Africa movement. So thank you.
I think it seems that Professor Oramah was a little shy to tell you that the mantra is once Afreximbank, always Afreximbank. So he ain't go nowhere.
The incoming has said it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That marks the official end of the press conference. May I kindly request the principals to be on stage, and the photographers can come and take the last photo, and then we'll allow them to exit. Photographers, please. Please be upstanding, presidents. While this is happening, I'll request our first president, President Edodu, President Christopher Edodu, to come on stage as well for a photo op. Yes, and EVP Kanayo, kindly come on the stage.